What's your favorite scary movie?
Be like, I'm dying.
If some guy came up to me and said, "Hey, they guys," I'm like, "It's over and done. We're married now."
Someone in the movie, so I'm like, kiss. But
oh God, what a sea of humanity.
I'm awake now.
oh, good.
Hey, welcome in to 52/1994, the live movie conversation podcast where we discuss movies from the year 1994. I am your host, Cody, and I'm joined by my co-host this week, Alyssa. Fanfare. The crowd's going wild. Yeah. If this is your first time joining us, welcome in. We are so happy for you to join us today. If you like what you hear, go ahead and give us a follow. If you're following on whatever platform you're watching on, whether it's YouTube or Twitch, a lot of the activity happens on Twitch, so go ahead and follow there if you can. We've also got a Discord that you can join and add to some other conversations that we're having throughout the weeks in between us doing these things. So go ahead and join there as well. And let me tell you a little bit more about what we're doing here. Basically, we're watching movies from the year 1994. We do it every week. We watch 52 of them. In fact, actually, we do a lot more than 52, but the structure is 52 movies from the year 1994 by their monthly categories. Doesn't matter if they're good or they're bad. And then I have a guest host on to talk about the movie and maybe catch up with them and see what they've been watching lately. We've already got some people in the chat making some noise here. So join them in what they're doing, whether they choose to annoy me or if they choose to agree with me or not. It doesn't matter. We're very excited to have them here. But anyway, Alyssa, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. I'm quite tired. I'm not gonna lie, but I hope
It's the Super Bowl.
Energy today.
It's the hangover from the Super Bowl. It's really knocked us out. Although that the song that I played of Steven's band, then
a banger.
It was a banger. It's very loud in my headphones. I feel like I need to turn it down. But like I'm just going, I'm headbanging, I'm playing along with the drums. Like it really got me. It woke me up.
Good.
I'm sorry that you didn't get that same experience, but it really did. It woke me up.
Very cool.
So, all right. Well, let's talk about this week's movie. It's called Chungking Express. And before I go into that, have you seen this movie or not seen this movie?
I have not seen this movie before. It was on my list of movies to watch prior to the 52/1994 list coming out. But I had not seen it before this week.
And what prompted you to add it to like your watch list? What did you?
I saw a TikTok about it, as one does. But I love a rom-com or just a romantic movie in general, and I am interested in watching more foreign films because they're just stuff that I don't actively seek out. So to have a recommendation, like a glowing recommendation of this movie being like, it's one of the best romances, like definitely seek it out, definitely go watch it. So it was on my list.
Nice. Well, and that is how a lot of people get their movie recommendations now lately, is through TikTok and hearing about these movies, which is a great way to get that information. I mean, I'm not going to be again. I wish I could be good at TikTok. That's one of the things I'm so terrible at. So if anybody out there is good at TikTok and can help me out, I'm more than willing to try. I'm just terrible at social media. I'm very sorry. So you had not seen it before. I had seen it before. Since you haven't seen it, what were your first impressions like after watching the movie?
I really enjoyed it. I won't lie. I was a bit confused because I understood that, that there are two separate stories and that the lives are barely crossing one another. But it felt like two separate movies.
Mhm.
I wasn't expecting, but I did enjoy it. I really enjoy, especially the second story. Really enjoyed watching it.
Yeah. Well, all right. Let's talk a little bit more about it. And just for everybody to know, this is a part of our romance month. Last week we did the romantic comedy "It Could Happen to You." This week, obviously, a little bit different. We don't often do foreign films on here, but I love. This is my favorite, one of my favorite years of movies, if not my favorite year of movies. And Chungking Express is completely amazing, and one of the reasons like I wanted to do 1994 because I love this movie so much. Um let me talk a little bit about it. Again, the title is Chungking Express. It was released September 26, 1994 in the United States. It had released a little bit earlier in Hong Kong. It is directed by Wong Kar-wai. It is also written by Wong Kar-wai. And the cast is kind of small, so we'll go through that fairly quickly. Brigitte Lin plays the woman in blonde wig. That is her name. Takeshi Kanashiro plays Cop 223, who's the cop in the first one. Tony Leung plays Cop 663 in the second one. Faye Wong plays Faye in the second story. Valerie Chow shows up as the flight attendant, who is also the ex of Cop 663. And then want to give a shout out to this guy. His name's Piggy Chan. He's the manager of the Midnight Express eatery that both of these stories kind of are surrounded by. So let me give you the synopsis I stole from Google because these are always fun. Every day, Cop 223 buys a can of pineapple with an expiration date of May 1, symbolizing the day he'll get over his lost love. He's also got his eye on a mysterious woman in a blonde wig, oblivious of the fact that she's a drug dealer. Cop 663 is distraught with heartbreak over a breakup, but when his ex drops a spare set of keys at a local cafe, a waitress lets herself into his apartment and spruces up his life. Not terrible.
Again, it's just two fully different
Yeah.
movies.
Very, very different stories going on.
A drug king, and a waitress.
Exactly. This movie had a budget. What I could find was $160,000. It had a box office return in the United States of $600,000, but $7.6 million in Hong Kong. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah. This movie has a Rotten Tomatoes score of 88%, an IMDb score of 8.0 out of 10, and a Letterboxd score of 4.3 out of 5. That's pretty high. But very close. All of those are kind of very close in their scores. I'm going to read what Roger Ebert said about this film. It's a little bit long, so bear with me. He said, at UCLA last summer, Quentin Tarantino introduced a screening of Chungking Express and confessed that while watching it on video, I just started crying. He cried not because the movie was sad, he said, but because I'm just so happy to love a movie this much. I didn't have to take out my handkerchief a single time during the film, and I didn't love it nearly as much as he did, but I know what he meant. This is the kind of movie you'll relate to if you love film. If you love film itself rather than its surface aspects such as story and stars. It's not a movie for casual audiences, and it may not reveal all its secrets the first time through, but it announces Wong Kar-wai, its Hong Kong-based director, as a filmmaker in the tradition of Jean-Luc Godard. He gave it 3 out of 4 stars. He actually liked It Could Happen to You better than this movie, which
Which
whatever.
is pretty wild, but I agree with what he says about you might not catch stuff the first time you watch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I agree. I've seen this movie several times, maybe 5-6 times in the last 10 years, and yeah, I think there was still stuff that I was not catching or caught this time around that I didn't see the first time.
Mm-hmm.
Not everybody loves this movie, though. Janet Maslin of the New York Times said that Mr. Wong has legitimate visual flair, but his character spent an awful lot of time playing impish tricks. A film in which a man talks to his dish towel has an overdeveloped sense of fun.
Fair.
Before we break it down just a little bit more, this does have a bit of a legacy. It didn't win any awards over here. Don't even think that Hong Kong or China submitted this for the best international film for the Oscars or anything. But this film is number 88 on the Sight and Sound best of film list, which is a pretty prominent list. And Moonlight, the movie by Barry Jenkins that came out, a couple years ago, won the Academy Award for Best Picture. Barry Jenkins says that his film Moonlight is heavily influenced by this film. Maybe not in story, but like tone and just the way the story is set up. I get it a lot. So, all right, so let's break down this movie into it's not a lot of scenes.
No, and it's hard. I had a really hard time pinpointing just because the first story is significantly shorter than the second story, and it's two separate stories. So, what do you point out as the most important?
Exactly. So we've got the breakdown of the two movies. So the first movie first story is, what is it? Cop 223, Officer 223. And he has been broken up with on April 1st by his ex-girlfriend now, May. And he is deciding to take it upon himself to buy all these cans of pineapple. Pineapple is her favorite food. And so he's buying up all these pineapple that have an expiration date of May 1 on there and giving it 30 days. He's going to eat all this pineapple as a form of solitude, I guess, or like, I'm going to do this. And if I make it through all these cans, that means that it's over. And like, she doesn't want to be with me anymore. Mm-hmm. And during that time, he's desperately like reaching out for any kind of attention from anybody at all. Talking to his ex's parents. He's calling them on the phone. A lot of phone calls on his end, a lot of checking his pager and everything. And then we also, in this story, we have the woman in the blonde wig who is doing some kind of drug scam. Where she's trying to get some drugs out of the country by getting them sewn into suits and boots and like getting these I'm trying to think of these immigrants obviously into this country to get them out of the country and into, you don't really find out where they're going or anything, but then you find out that she's kind of been screwed over during this whole thing and set up to fail. So she's not too happy about that. But a couple of the things I want to point out of the scenes here is the pineapple eating, like him going to the mini mart and buying the pineapples and eating the pineapples and like him taking them back to his tiny apartment and crushing the 30 cans or whatever it is of all these pineapples. So much that, you would definitely make yourself sick. Mm-hmm. And then him kind of drinking away his sorrows at this bar where the two actually meet up. Mm-hmm. He sees the woman in the blonde wig from across the bar, and he tries desperately to get her attention, and she doesn't want to. Go ahead. Sorry. I keep cutting you off.
Pickup line, do you like pineapples? And he asks her in like 3 different languages because he isn't sure which language she speaks.
That's true. He's not sure. I mean, she doesn't take her sunglasses off. She's wearing a blonde wig. There's almost no way of knowing who she is, where she's from. Is she Japanese? Is she Chinese? Is she Chinese? Is she speaking Mandarin? Is she speaking Cantonese? Like, so he's going through everything. English, I think he even tries that at one point, just to see if he can get her attention. And I don't know, something wears her down a little bit. I don't know what it is.
I think it's his earnest nature, or like she just had a really rough day, like and realizes she got screwed out of, her deal. Um, and he kind of wears her down. Like, he's pretty relentless. But she's like, how old are you? He's like, I'm 25 or 22.
25. He just turned 25 that
Was
day.
birthday. And I think she just had like a moment of, why not?
Yeah. And I think she also, like, with her being tired and like running nonstop and trying to, stay away from this guy that screwed her over and the people that were looking for her. She's tired. She sees a guy that appears, even though he is persistent, he appears harmless to her. He's not going to hurt her. And they're both tired, and with the prospect of like, okay, I can share a room with this guy. I can have a safe space he can buy the room and I can sleep there and I know nothing's going to happen.
And that's what happens.
And that's exactly what happens. And I actually really like the scene, as even though there's no talking at all, I really like the scene where he's in the hotel.
A lot of internal monologue.
Yes, a lot of internal monologue. A lot of that in this movie altogether. A lot of internal monologue. But he's just sitting there, internal monologue, facing like everything down. Like, yes, he wants her to wake up, but he's also not gonna like wake her up.
Right.
And him sitting there watching those classic movies and ordering in food and eating he eats so much food.
He eats so much food in that movie.
And then she's just sleeping the entire time. He washes her shoes at one point, cleans them off.
Which was a kind gesture.
I think he says something to the effect of like her looking like, if somebody's going to wear these, they need to wear them clean. Like, she's kind of like elegant kind of thing. Like, she needs to have clean shoes. So I don't know. I really like that scene because I think it helps him, because I think that first story is so much about loneliness.
And
yeah,
kind of a springboard in a way. Like the entire first half of his story is him like mourning the loss of his girlfriend, of pining for her. That was not meant to be a pun for the pineapples.
Yeah.
He's quite literally like just thinking about her and being like, she's gonna come back, or I wish she comes back. And and she doesn't, and he goes, okay, she's not coming back. I have to accept this. And then he meets this. He says, the next woman who walks in that bar, I'm gonna fall in love with her. Like, he craves human connection.
Yeah.
Even if she is like, nonchalant and is asleep on the bed the entire time, there's a person there. And I think he's kind of like, hey, I don't think in my wildest dreams, I wouldn't have thought I'd end up in this situation. Kind of shows me that there are more people out there. I can meet other people. This is like, she is the springboard of hope into moving on.
I agree. I think that is completely what, is supposed to happen. And he doesn't even need to talk. Like, obviously he wants to interact with her and he wants that, but her just being there is enough for him. Just being in his presence, like, that is what he's missing. Just like, I don't care if my girlfriend or my next girlfriend is just asleep. I just want to know that she's there. And he's desperate. And we also see this as a springboard too, because after he wakes up in the morning and she's gone and left him and everything, the next thing that he does, which he has not done, and he's mentioned it, is when I get sad, I like to go jogging because then it takes out, I sweat out all my liquids, my fluids, and then I can't cry.
Yes.
So he goes jogging after this, and that he's kind of getting it out, getting all of his emotions out and moving on. And then once he gets a page on his gets a page on his pager saying like happy birthday to him, and it's actually from the woman in the wig.
The woman with the blonde wig.
Yeah, with the blonde wig that said that. And
he say he's like, a woman wished me happy birthday today.
Yeah.
I'm having a great day. Like,
yes, and like I'm in love with her. And
Yeah.
This is basically what he says. So there's not I mean, there's some really good stuff in here. This is kind of when Wong Kar-wai does his like the most with the very fast cuts and like the blurry imagery as we're going through the Chungking mansions, which is what this part of the movie takes place in, where you see all those little stores and those tight quarters. It's almost like a subway-esque place without the subway.
Yeah.
But we see a lot of that that stylistic choice of him and that's kind of a thing in all Wong Kar-wai films. If you ever watch any more other than this one, beyond this, you see that a lot. But the only other scenes are those like crime scenes that we see, the whole like making the drug operation, which you don't really understand what's going on.
No, not until later. Not until you actually baggies and you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But it's almost, I mean, it's interesting. Like it's the idea of you never know who a person, I mean, she even says that like a person can be one thing today and something different tomorrow. Like you don't really, and he obviously doesn't know her. He just met her, but he says he's in love with her. And yeah, she's literally like murdering people in the background.
Yeah.
Like,
that's exactly what she does after she wakes up that morning, is she goes and kills the guy that set her up. A guy that was obviously like using her before, because we see him like hooking up with a girl in a blonde wig as well.
That seemed unnecessary. Very weird.
Yeah, a little bit weird. But after she, and this goes along with her statement of like, you could be one thing today, another thing tomorrow. As soon as she commits that act of killing him, she takes off the coat, she takes off the wig, she's a complete, or the sunglasses, she takes off the wig, and she's a completely different person.
Right.
And free from what she was in. So any other thoughts about that first story?
That's pretty much it. I think he was a cute character. It was a fun little quip. Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, I think that is one of the, like, I obviously am, I think I am drawn more to that second story, just like you are. I think it's the more complete, it's longer, it's a lot more fun.
It's goofy. I love it.
Yeah, it is really goofy. But like the longer I sit on that first one and the more that I think about that first one, I like it a lot too. Like, so I want to give it its flowers, you know? All right, I'm going to hand it over to you, because just a little bit, I'm not pressing you too much, but on that second story, what are some things that really stuck out to you from that?
The first like kind of scene is meeting, I said meeting Faye at, I call it a deli. I don't actually know, like the counter or the sandwich shop or whatever they do. But I said meeting Faye, and her just like kind of being a little spacey, playing the music. They're trying to yell over each other, trying to talk to each other, but Faye is the new waitress at the Mart, and we learn a little bit about her. We learn a little bit about the cop, and it's all, and you can tell she's like kind of like giving him the up and down, like she's like, oh, okay, hey, hello, this guy's cute. But their initial interaction, I thought it was fun.
Yeah, I love that. He goes there, and the cop, I always forget their numbers. I think it's 663, 223 and 663. 663 orders a chef salad and chef salad every day from what was that?
For his girlfriend.
For his girlfriend, which it comes in like a tube, like a cylindrical, like.
I think that was
You think that's a
goof? Like a movie mistake, you know? I mean, like, or there was like some type of, in no way, shape, or form does a salad come in looking like a hot dog. You know what I mean? Like that just like what's the continue it's not discontinuous. I can't think of the word. But it didn't make sense.
I wonder if it's like a
Unless when they say salad didn't translate correctly. But I don't know. It was silly.
I'm just wondering if that means something else. Like, cause like
Maybe.
maybe it's the same, like similar translation, but it means something. I don't know. That's the only thing I could keep thinking of. It really bugged me. That's the only reason I bring it up.
I don't know. I'm thinking a wrap, like if because he said a garden salad, right? Or
Chef salad.
chef salad. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know if you would put that in a tortilla. Like I don't know.
Or a pita or something. Like, I don't know. That's not the point of all this, but he orders the same thing, and we get that whole setup of him talking with the manager, and the manager convincing him, like, hey, you should try something else. Like, you keep getting this chef salad all the time. Why don't you try fish and chips? And then he's like, yeah, you're right. I'll do that. And then he comes back and he only orders a black coffee that next time because his girlfriend had left him. So
Try something new. That's what he said.
yeah, she decided to try something. And he doesn't seem like he seems heartbroken about it, because one of the scenes that I did have down, because I thought it was a very, cute romantic scene between two people that seemed like they were very in love, is when he's talking about his ex. And he's showing the apartment and him with the plane, and because she's like a flight attendant, and them being kind of intimate with each other and everything. I don't know. I really like that.
Got to see their relationship a little bit.
Yeah, and we also get to see his apartment.
Yes.
With her in it, and I think that helps with like him, because he starts talking to his things in the apartment, in weird ways. But no, I really do like that like scene where he's talking about his ex, and you get that what a difference the day made. I just think it fits.
Yeah.
And it's not, and you made sure to say that it's hey, this is from a Airbnb or a Verbo commercial or whatever it is, VRBO.
I think it's Verbo, but yeah, the commercial goes, it's like it snowed overnight. So that's the commercial that I was like, oh, I know the song from the commercial.
It's very cute though.
Yes.
But yeah, once Faye is a little bit more, gets put in charge of a little bit more, and the manager's not there as much, we get to meet Faye, and we get to see them start to interact with each other. And I love that scene where she's playing her music, and they're trying to have that conversation, and he has to get like, there's that shot of them like with their heads like going the opposite way but really close, so he could talk into her ear. I like that too. And just some good things, cute things. And then, I don't know if there's anything else you want to say about that.
No, I get it leads into, so 663 gets broken up with. The flight attendant leaves a letter at the deli with the keys in the envelope saying, hey, I'm not coming back. Here's your keys back. And Faye is put in charge of giving it back to him, and she doesn't. Instead, she takes the keys and lets herself into his apartment and starts nesting. She's like replacing the soap, she's replacing towels, she's cleaning, she's watering the plants. Just lets herself into his apartment every lunch break, just chilling.
Adding fish to his fish tank.
Loads of fish. I'm like, there's not
many fish.
There's not enough room for these fish, but she's just having a time, and that's where the majority of the movie is. And then my next scene was Faye getting caught. Just him finally like showing up at the time that she's in there when obviously she couldn't be.
So you're not talking about the first time when he opens the door and she's there with the fish, and he's like, you.
No, to the second time.
Yeah, no,
Because he
the
even
sec.
notices, like he's like looking at his stuff, and he's like, "This wasn't like this."
Yeah.
But he doesn't seem alarmed by it, which I thought was fun. He was just like, "This is happening."
I I think I just kept telling we watched this together for everybody that doesn't know that we watch these movies together. Um it like I don't even know what I was gonna say, but like when he's first started talking to his or I said to you that yeah, no guy would notice. Like the
Yeah.
things that are happening. Like, oh, I have a plant. She must have brought it in. Like
Yeah.
the my ex must have brought it in. I just never noticed it.
Yeah, or like she puts a picture up and he's like that, like he like sees the picture. I don't have it in my quotes, but when the bar of soap went from being like this teeny like thin bar of soap to a big,
Yeah.
he goes, "You really let yourself go." So he does notice it. It just takes him, what I presume, weeks.
Yeah, he does eventually notice, but then I mean, what would you I mean, I'm just trying to decide whether he's just like does he think I guess he thinks that the flight attendant is letting herself in and like bringing these things. That's what I'm kind of assuming for a little bit.
Oh, I thought he was fully oblivious, and then once I thought he always kind of suspected it was Faye. Or
But
maybe
I don't think he knows. I think he would assume more that it's his ex cuz he doesn't know that she brought the keys back.
That's true. I was thinking because Faye shows up at the door with the bag of fish.
Yeah.
And she's like, "I'm here to buy fish." And he's like, "You already have fish." She's just trying to come up with a lie and she can't, so she runs away. And then he starts to know, after that moment is when he starts to notice the little things happening in his apartment. And that's in my mind, he made a connection like, I
Mhm.
don't know how she's getting in here. He's like, I feel like Faye is behind this. I don't know how, I don't know why, but I feel like that's how I interpreted it.
Yeah. And is that okay, I'm sorry. When he catches her at the door, and that's when she comes in and he like rubs her leg because she can't move. She won't like move, and she says she has like a cramp or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, tries to
Um,
does
but
it.
when he puts on the CD of that and he says, "My ex loved this song,"
Yes.
and she's like, "Bitch, I left that CD
I
in here."
in here 2 weeks ago. Yes. Because that's why afterwards I thought, oh, maybe he finally did put it together.
Yeah, I do think he probably.
Alarmed.
No, I mean, they're making his life better. He doesn't have to replace his soap. He's got a towel that actually functions. He did acquire a Garfield stuffed animal to go along with all of his other stuffed animals.
Animals.
So many.
He needs a squishmallow.
He does. He needs a, there he is right there. A Sully to take care of. But yeah, I love that. And then of course I love when he does discover her in the apartment. I like the when he did not get her in the apartment the first time when she's like got a blanket over top of her and is like hiding in special ways. I do like that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So when he discovers her and then she runs out.
Yes.
And then he goes to meet her at the restaurant cafe thing and says, "Hey, we're going to go on a date.
Mm-hmm.
California, be there." And during this time, they've gotten to know each other a little bit better. He's carrying her stuff
Yeah, they had
for
some
her.
at the market.
She keeps like, because he got a new like schedule, new beat, and he keeps like, or she makes sure that she can run into him.
Mm-hmm.
Over and over and over again. And it's cute, it's creepy, it's like he says, he doesn't care. I think he likes the attention. And
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so he sets up that date to meet at the California Club, which is across the street, and she doesn't show up.
No, in fact, she leaves the country.
She leaves the country, but she does leave him a note in the form of a boarding pass and that he throws out. And then
Regrets.
and then quickly gets in and then regrets and doesn't see because it's raining and it was written on a napkin because nobody writes on paper, I guess, or actual things, and he can't make out the destination, but it's for him a year from now, so that's all we get. And then my next scene is the one where she comes back, and she's a flight attendant now, and she hears California Dreamin' coming from across the street. She went back to the California Club, and she comes over there to see that the cafe is under construction, and she finds out that Cop 663 has bought the place, and he's been waiting on her this whole time.
Pretty much. Like, I mean, maybe he has, maybe he hasn't, but she's always been in the back of his mind, at least.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, he did pin the wet napkin in the back on like the back corkboard. So it went like, no, I don't know. I guess he knew that she would come back.
Yeah. And he bought that cafe. He's fixing it up. He asks her if she'll be around for the grand opening, and she says no. But she says that he's like, "Can you make me a new boarding pass?" And she asks him where he wants to go, and he says,
"Wherever you want to take me."
And that's how the movie ends. So that is essentially Chungking Express. We just did the entire movie.
I know it's hard to break it up.
It really is, and there's a lot of vibes in the movie.
A lot of vibes. It's very artistically done.
It is. If you had to think about it, who is your favorite character?
If I had to pick one, I would say Faye, but I think the chemistry between Faye and Cop 663, even on their own, like Cop 663 is like funny by himself, but I love them together. But Faye as a character is a character. Like she's she's almost manic pixie dream girl, but more just crazy. Like
I was about to say she's high on the manic. Like
I was say she's not, because it's not that he's fantasizing about her, and like the idea of the manic pixie dream girl is that you're put on this pedestal of being wild and crazy, and it's like, no, she's just crazy. and he's just like down for it. There's no like fantasizing about her. So I liked it. I liked her. I liked them both. I mean, all four main characters are very good. I thought they did a great job, but I think Faye as just like a thing it was my favorite.
And this is essentially, I had Faye down as well, and I think just she does the most in this movie than anybody else. Like, I love Tony Leung. He's in a bunch of other Wong Kar-wai films, a lot of other Hong Kong. He's like Hong Kong royalty. He's also in the new Shang-Chi Marvel movie, if anybody's seen that. But I love that guy. I recommend if anybody wants to watch a movie with him, Infernal Affairs. It is the movie that The Departed is based on. It's basically The Departed basically remade that movie, but Infernal Affairs, he's amazing in that movie. Go check it out. He's incredible. But yeah, no, I think Faye does so much, and it's pretty impressive from her, because this is essentially her first movie. She's actually like a pop singer.
Yeah, she did a great job.
Yeah. So somebody in the chat just said, am I the only one who liked the first story much better? I mean, I like the second story a lot better. I always have.
I like the second story better. It's a little more like cutesy, like subtle romance. The first story I thought was great, but and you explained this to me afterwards. I was like, I feel like that was like short, or like we could have gotten so much more. Like, I want to know what happens next. And you're like, well, there is another movie that they come back in, or like the story is continued. And not that it didn't feel incomplete, because there was like a end, like, you know, she kills that guy, he moves on, whatever. But
and I kind of lied to you. I thought that, but that's not even true.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the second movie doesn't have any of this, but it kind of goes more with the crime element than the
Oh,
second story in this one. It's
characters aren't in the second.
no, I lied. I'm so sorry.
Liar.
No, I swear there was a Wong Kar-wai film where the lady in the blonde wig at least comes back, but
I
I
would
am wrong.
I would have wished that either the first story was as like it's all again, I keep saying it's like two different movies because I would put the first story in an action movie that has a romantic element and the second story being a romance.
Hmm.
Um and I would love to you could take that first story and make it a whole hour and a half movie if you wanted to, I feel. Um
And
and make
that tone, or that not tone, that basis is why there is this second movie called Fallen Angels, and it is essentially an hour and a half crime romance movie.
Mhm.
So he took that and
It
went
just
with
kind
that.
of depends on what you're in the mood for. If you're in
Hmm.
crime romance, then the first story, if that's of what interests you, then the first story probably pulls you in a little more. And then if you're more of a just a plain old romance or something like cutesy rom-commy, then second movie might be what draws you in a little bit more.
Yeah, I I love the length of the second story. Like, I think it is perfect length. I don't need it to be any longer. I don't need it to be any shorter.
I agree.
The first one, I think I
Uh,
would like to see more. Yeah.
yes, I agree.
I still get its point. I still get its themes of loneliness and just connection and wanting to. They always reference like the 0.1 centimeter away. Like, that's what Cop 223 is always like. I was 0.1 centimeters away from this girl. I was 0.1 centimeters. Like, it's all about like position and like how close you are to these people, but yet how far away we are from
I
these
think
people.
there was a moment, and obviously we weren't introduced to Faye yet, but I think there's a moment like in the very beginning of the movie where the woman in the blonde wig is going into a building and Faye is coming out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's buying the Garfield.
Okay, okay. So it is. So then it okay because it's again the crossing of paths.
Yes. Which we see a lot of times in, has become a popular trope of movies, whether it's Love Actually or
Yeah,
the all those day movies, Valentine's Day.
Year's Day. Or,
Yeah, they all connect and they all intertwine, and but nobody's story is always connected
what was
firmly with the other one.
what was the one last year that in '93 that we watched that was like multiple stories?
Shortcuts.
Shortcuts. Yes.
Yeah. Multiple stories there. It is a Robert Altman does that. He's the guy that directed Shortcuts. He also did the movie Nashville. That's very much a lot of intertwining stories that don't necessarily have to do with each other, but it drives the storyline and moves the plot forward. So, um, I don't know. I like it a lot, and a lot of this like disjointedness. Even Tarantino, who loves this movie and
He
fawns
loves
over this movie,
this.
he messes with the timeline and connecting stories. Pulp Fiction is another great example of this, and we'll talk about that in a few weeks when we start talking about all the Best Picture nominees for this year. So, just messing with time a little bit.
Yes.
So, do you have any favorite quotes? That
That was something about this movie that I loved. It was heavily quotable. Like every line was well written. I
Mhm.
felt. So I have quite a few.
Okay.
I do have the one that we already said when Faye says, "Where do you want to go?" and 663 says, "Wherever you want to take me." I was just like, okay, like I love that line. I Cop 223 from the first story says, "If memories could be canned, would they also have expiration dates? If so, I hope they last for centuries." I was like, I mean, it was just very poetic.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote down the conversation between Faye and 663 when they're screaming over each other. He says, "You like noisy music?" And she says, "Yes, the louder the better. Stops me from thinking." And he says, "You don't like to think? What do you like?" And she goes, "Never thought about it," which is very funny.
Yes, that's very funny.
I also had the Cops 223 we're all unlucky in love sometimes. When I go jogging. The body loses water when you jog, so you have none left for tears, which is a joke that I have made, or like an exercise joke. Be like, oh yeah, when it's raining, go for a run because no one can see you cry.
I only cry in the shower, so it will hide my tears.
Exactly. And the last one I have is a Cop 663 quote about his apartment and the apartment flooding. And says, did I leave the tap running or is the apartment getting more tearful? I always thought it would cope okay. Didn't expect it to cry so much. When people cry, they can dry their eyes with tissues. But when an apartment cries, it takes a lot to mop it up.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I mean, he's been talking to his inanimate objects, the apartment, the clothes, the towel, the stuffed animals, the soap. He is, again, it's like kind of like going stir crazy a little bit in a way.
Yeah.
And like everything misses her. The apartment cries for her. He cries for her. The stuffed animals miss her. Like, and I just really like that. It's like, is the apartment getting more tearful?
That this actually doesn't have anything to do with the apartment, but you just reminded me of a scene where we get to see Cop 663 interact with his ex. He sees her in a store, like a mini mart, and I think this is actually, is it after Faye leaves?
No, I think he like.
No, you're right.
I think, I don't even know if he's asked her out yet, or he did ask. He just asked her out on a date, and then I think he goes to the mini mart or something like that. But he's in pretty good spirits. He runs into her and he's like, how are you doing? She's like, I'm doing great. Like, my ride's out there. And it's just this hunky dude on a motorcycle. And he's just like, I'm glad to see you're doing well. Like, he wasn't upset. He was just like, I am genuinely happy for you, it seemed like.
Yeah, it was after he had packed up her stuff, though. He finally had packed up her stuff and he'd said, hey, you've got stuff at my apartment. And she's just like, get rid of it. Like,
I don't want it.
Yeah, I don't want it. So that I get like closure on that. He gets that closure that I don't know if he was needing at that point, but you do get to see him, like you said, feeling very, very good and good spirits, and like he is over it completely. So I don't know why I thought about that, but I had two other quotes that you didn't have. We already kind of referenced one earlier when we were talking about the woman in the blonde wig. She says, actually, really knowing someone doesn't mean anything. People change. A person may like pineapple today and something else tomorrow. I really like that. And then Cop 663, another one of their like comedic exchanges. He says, what are you doing in my apartment? And she said, you asked me to visit? Which he did.
Stop by sometime.
Exactly.
I stopped by.
Any other quotes? I think that's all the ones I have listed.
I could have pulled more, honestly. Like, those were, I was like, reel it back in, Alyssa. Like, you can't re-quote the whole movie. So I only picked those handful.
I love any of the exchanges that either cop has with the manager. I think those are always fun. He's like, here, take this, May. She's great.
Yeah, he's like, date her.
223. And then he comes back for her and she's taken already.
Richard got her.
Richard. Damn Richard. I also love, maybe this goes into this, but biggest laugh, cry, scare, or thrill, any of those?
I think May, as a general statement, just made me giggle. But I didn't write it down, but I thought about a thrill. I think it was the ending. Like the tail. Oh, sorry. I remember now. Both endings were like the biggest thrill for me, just in different ways. Like in the first story, watching the woman in the blonde wig shoot that guy and kill him, I was like, yeah, like that was dope. Like, that was thrilling because I didn't really think that I wasn't sure what was going to happen, and she was just like, bam, and I'm like, cool. And then thrilling, and then the ending of, again, that like, where do you want to go, wherever you want to take me, like kind of took my breath away. And like, I really loved that ending. And because it was just like simple, like it was like very, very subtle and very simple, but in like, but so profound. And I was just like, so
I also love it because you honestly, like, as the audience, you don't know what the next thing is with them.
No,
You don't know if she does go away and comes back. You don't know if she stays, or maybe she comes back for the grant. You don't know. You're left to interpret that. And of course, I think a lot of us interpret that and say like, oh, that was, they're going to end up together. They're in love. Like they finally got it. These kids are going to make it. But I like the ambiguity there, that it doesn't hold. I always love when movies are willing to not hold your hand. And sometimes you have to, but like, I just like that we get to decide.
Yes, I love a non-definitive ending
Mm-hmm.
in this type of situation.
The only other laugh, or I want to point out, is like the interaction that Faye has with the other workers, like the cooks and stuff. I think that is very funny. Like, there's a lot of like interactions there that I thought were really cute. I don't know.
I agree. They're dancing, they're vibing, they're all making fun of her. Like, it's good coworker vibes.
Yeah. Oh, there is a good line about him being wounded. He took the day off. This cop 663. He was wounded by a pin. And referencing the pin being in the letter. I like that a little bit. Did we ever find out who the Chungking was? I'll go ahead and spoil the Chungking. So the reason that this movie is called Chungking Express is because of the two locations that these stories take place in. So Chungking, I already kind of mentioned it. The Chungking Mansions are what they're called. That's that area that you see the woman going through as she's like fleeing and chasing down people. It's all those little stores and little shops and areas like that. And then the express part is the cafe, the shop that Faye works at, called the Midnight Express. So it's just a combination of both of the words. So that's the Chungking, chat. Thank you. Thank you. What did you think is the most ridiculous moment?
Oh, I know. I was like, those are the two things I didn't write down. The fact that my guy 663 is never wearing pants.
I was wondering when you were going to bring this up.
I don't know why. I think it's because they're like tighty whities, and it's a lot of leg. It's a lot. And like, again, not a bad looking dude. Like, he's in the comfort of his own home. He can wear whatever he wants. But it was just like very frequently that like his main outfit was tidy whities and a beater. And I was like, okay, like it was just a lot of leg for me.
You don't want to see any pictures of me from the ages of 3 to probably like 12. Honestly.
And it's just not, it's what the style like was. Like not most people, I feel like boxer briefs are a little more fashionable for men's underwear. I don't know, but like you've heard it. Whitey, they're like, yo.
You've heard it here first, folks. She does not like briefs. It's boxers or boxer briefs for Alyssa.
Yeah, just a lot of leg.
Too much leg.
That is it.
Good for my guy going straight brief is what Spencer said. Great. I love it. Oh my gosh. These things. Oh, I just thought like, I think it's the towel. The towel is the thing that pisses me off the most. Like, okay, I am a guy.
Really?
Yes, I am a guy. And yes, there's some gender not gender norms, but gender stereotypes. I think that, and guys will go a while. I told you this, like he probably didn't notice all the shit that's appearing in his apartment. He didn't notice Garfield for a while. But that towel was useless.
It was useless.
Like there's just holes in it. Like it reminds me of a blanket that somebody has had from
like a baby blanket.
Yeah, like a baby blanket. I've known several people that still have their baby blankets.
But they just look like rags.
And they just look like rags. And I think that's fine. Keep your baby blankets. Obviously, that's a thing. I never had that. I was barely a baby. I can't remember it. So, but yeah, this guy was holding on to that freaking towel forever.
And I think that also is like symbolic, right? Like the him getting the chef's salad every day, and keep just the chef salad every day. And then he finally decides to change it up, and that's when she leaves. So he's gonna hold on to his stuffed animals. He's gonna hold on to that towel because that's change, and change is scary.
Yeah. I agree. I agree with you. I was like, my guy,
My God,
grow up, like, get a towel.
get a towel.
Use a shirt, for God's sake. Like, use anything that's full. Spencer said he keeps underwear that looks like that too. I have
Good.
coming up on that problem. I need to replace a few pairs myself. They're getting holy and not by the Lord. So
Not your church pair.
they're my church pair. Yeah. All right. Which one is your best music moment?
So I did put California Dreamin', Mamas and the Papas. They play it like 100 times.
I think I saw it was like 6 times or 9 times. It's one of those.
But it's just her, quite literally dreaming about California and wanting to go and wanting to explore and not stay. And she specifically wants to go to California, which I think is fun.
Yeah.
It's like literal, but it's also like kind of like head in the clouds song. And it's the song that keeps playing when they're together, and it's the song that he plays when he's renovating the cafe, and the song that he puts on the CD where he's like, oh, my ex liked this, and she was like, like just a recurring. That's my favorite. I think I know which one yours gonna be though.
No, I actually was I was gonna say California Dreamin' is the song of this movie. I like What a Difference a Day Made. I like that spot. And I love the Dreams song, which is a cover of the Cranberries song. My only thing with the Dream song is like that is the most Gen X 90s, like it pulls it into like this is the early 1990s MTVification of this movie, and it is very Gen X, and we'll actually get a lot more Gen X in next week's movie. But and I have this, I feel like I was meant to be a Gen X. I've told you this forever. Like I'm 10 years beyond it, but
For Gen X.
I'm a Gen X in here. I wish. But yeah, I think that the number one song is California Dream. And I think that if you if you reference this movie, somebody's going to be like California Dream and Mamas and the Papas. That's the song. So,
and we'll do fun facts here eventually, but that cover of Dreamin' is sung by Faye Wong.
Yeah.
That's great. I was like, that's awesome. Like
she's great too. Like it's good. That's a good cover. And I love foreign covers.
Yes.
You're like, yes, I know. I'm annoyed by you. What else here? Okay. Cop 223 or Cop 663? I'm making you choose between two cops here. No ACAB here. These are
I love 663. Like 223 is kind of like boyish, like in a way, and I kind of like head in the clouds. And 663 is, I just really liked him. I thought he was funny. I thought he was a sweetie. I don't know. I like 663.
Yeah, I think I agree with you on that. In this case, ACAB stands for All Cops Are Bae.
All cops are bae. All the cops in this movie
are bae.
All 2 of them are bae. They had 2. I mean, the whole cast is good looking. This is a good looking cast. Like, not that any of the cast that we've seen before are not good looking, but I was just kind of like, again, I've never seen this movie. I've never seen actors. My knowledge of foreign film or films from Hong Kong is this is this movie. And I was like, ooh, these guys are cute. Like, I was like, hello.
No, I think 223 comes off a little bit. I don't think he comes off a little bit creepy. I think they're salvage. Sorry, Spencer, I don't agree with you in that. But he is 20 years old in this movie.
Oh wow, really? I say he comes off.
his character is 25, but the guy playing him is 20 years old. So he is a baby.
It's not creepy, or I wouldn't say creepy. I would say leaning on more desperate.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, just which, again, we're all desperate for human interaction and attention. Like, I don't
Right.
Isolated from his girlfriend, who he has thought would come back after 30 days. Like, I get it. But if it were me, I'd be like, I am good.
Yeah. And he's a sad boy.
Sad boy.
He's a sad boy. He just needs to listen to a little bit of some music, some Phoebe Bridgers, some sad girl rock, and he'll get over it eventually. Desperation is attractive. You're right. Okay, let's see what else we got here. Faye. I think, obviously, I think Faye is the easy answer here. Faye or the blonde.
Yeah, Faye is, we know more about Faye. Like, she's more personable, she's funny, she's cute. The blonde is like cool.
Yeah.
It's also scary.
And I think she's also like the oldest in this movie too. Like, everybody's in their 20s except for the woman in the blonde wig. She is, I think she's supposed to be in her late 30s is what late 30s, maybe early 40s. Let me give you an actual. Yeah, she would have been in her early 40s in this movie. Mm-hmm. So, or 40. Not that's not old or anything, but comparatively to 25 to this guy, it's 15 years. So,
yes.
Spencer likes the blonde. He doesn't like short hair. He doesn't like the pixie cut.
Oh, so they both had short hair, but that's to each their own.
All right, who gave the best performance?
I think it was Faye. But Faye, I loved Faye and Cop 663. I just together, I thought they did a great job. They all four did a great job, but just something like the chemistry. I got it. I felt it.
She felt, and I think that, so I did learn in some of my research, like a lot of this movie had a lot of scenes were improvised. And so like when Faye is like dancing in the store, like to the music and stuff like that, that's all not scripted. And like, he was just like, hey, just do whatever you want with the music right here. Mm-hmm. Interact with these people here. She felt more like, she felt real. Authentic, I guess is the word
I agree.
So I agree with you. I think that she kind of stole the show. She's the reason why she's the, on the cover of all the posters and everything. Like, yeah, I think she's just a very special performer in this. And I don't know if I've seen her in other things. I'm sure she's been in other Wong Kar-wai movies, but mm-hmm. I don't know. All right. I don't know if you did this, but as a recast, and you could, and you didn't have to go. Obviously, this is a Hong Kong movie. I don't know a lot of new Hong Kong actors or anybody like that, so I went with a bunch of like just everyday actors.
Yes, I only did 2024. I did not do 1994, and again, my knowledge is very limited. Mm-hmm. I did pick Asian American actors because I was like,
I'm actually quite glad that you did that, because I was going to do Asian American actors and I was like, I don't know if I can do this. So I'm glad you did.
I don't know any Chinese actors or like actors who are exclusive to Chinese movies. Mm-hmm. I know a couple Canadian and American who have Chinese descent.
Yeah.
Or Asian descent, there's a conversation about DE&I around in this, but there's, ever since Crazy Rich Asians, there's kind of been like, oh, we like Hollywood kind of woken up and going, oh, we should employ these people. So I think we could in 2024 make an American version of the movie. Mm-hmm. Like at New York City or something like that. Like maybe not make them cops.
Yeah, I don't think they would make them cops, but
no, you can. Which also the first guy 223, like not really a cop. He's like a detective almost, or like an undercover guy. He's never in uniform.
No,
just beats up one person. Like I was like, okay, that's a cop.
Yeah. All right.
Yes.
Tell me who you got. I'm excited.
For Cop 223, I have Henry Shum Jr., better known for his role in Glee.
Okay.
He kind of just also, not his role in Glee, also as the guy from Everything Everywhere All at Once who has Raccacoonie under his hat. I think it's like he has that boyish face. He's got the same body type as the original actor. Again, I know him from Glee, so that's kind of how I have him in my mind, is young and boyish. So I thought that would be my recast. For Woman in the Blonde Wig, I have Stephanie Hsu from Everything Everywhere All at Once, because of her role in Everything Everywhere All at Once, where she is the bad guy, right? And she's like kind of a badass, and she wears like the cool stuff, and she like, walks in like the bad guy, and I'm like, I think she could pull off the Woman in the Blonde Wig very easily.
Yeah, I love that. I was trying to figure out where I wanted Stephanie Hsu in this movie. I was like,
just Stephanie Hsu is a general statement. Put her in wherever
just
you
put her
want.
in everything.
I say put her in everything. She's great. For Cop 663, I had Simu Liu.
Yeah.
Because he is very handsome. and I think, again, like there's like a charm. I mean, again, he was just in Barbie. There's like a comedy charm for 663. And I thought Simu could do it. And then for Faye, I have her name Sherry Cola, which is a cool name. She's a comedian, but she was just in the movie Joyride.
Okay.
So that's a brand new movie that came out where it's like it's the one we've seen the trailer for it. It's like these two girls who become best friends, and the one who was adopted decides to as a friend, as like a group of friends, they decide to go to Asia to find her birth mom, her birth parents. So, but she's like the funny one, the whole movie's a comedy, but when, in that trailer, I've only seen the trailer, where the little girl is like flipping off that boy and she like punches him. Like she's the adult.
That's her character.
Because she is a stand-up comedian first and foremost, and is now getting into movies. So she was the one, because again, Faye has to be kind of funny, kind of out there. And I thought that she could pull that off.
Okay. I like it. I was thinking about, I really want to see that movie Joyride.
That is my list.
Yeah, I want to see that. I want to see the four women in that movie, because Stephanie Hsu is in that movie as well. Not one of the main characters, but it just looks like a fun movie, and I love that. Yeah, no, I was actually thinking about Simu for 223 as opposed to 663. But I like what you said about 663, because he does have that charm, like. And I mean, he plays his son in Shang-Chi too.
Kind of a fun, full circle experience to go from being his son in that movie to playing his part.
Yeah, I think I went with, and now I hate all of mine because I went with like American, not white dudes. I did, some casting, but I was like 663 is the more serious one, and 223 is the one that's like, shucks.
Well, yes, 223. Okay, 223 reads young. Like, you pick just a really young dude who's kind of like love struck, and then, but for 663, like, he's a little more charming, a little more suave, but he's funny. Like, to do like the bits where, again, the soap where he's like, you really let yourself go, and it's just a big bar of soap. Like, that's hilarious.
Yeah,
there has to be that like quirkiness about him.
Yeah, so like on 223, I was thinking of people like Jack Quaid, who I love Jack Quaid. Okay. Just because of that, like, shucks kind of thing about him. Anthony Ramos, though, I feel like is a really good, would be an interesting person for that. He's a lot younger than I thought he was.
Okay.
And he could play a little bit younger, and I just think he's got the like, kind of, he could play dumb too a little bit. Like, I feel like 223 is a little dumb and naive.
Naive is
I don't like my 663s because I went a little too serious, and like Paul Mescal because he's kind of hot right now. Dev Patel, I think he could pull off something like that. He kind of gives me like Simu vibes a little bit.
He could do it because he could do the serious, but also the
silly.
I like.
Yeah. And then I was thinking about the woman in the blonde wig. I had a bunch of like, these are all kind of like badass women that I would put in this role. They're all very tall for some reason.
Oh yeah, let's go.
I don't know why I went tall, but like Jessica Chastain, Zoe Saldana, Uma Thurman. It reads a little bit older.
Yeah.
Halle Berry, I'd throw in there too. Like just these kind of badass women that are in these action movies and stuff.
All action movie people.
Faye, I had a little bit of trouble with, but I thought, I don't know much about her, but like Olivia Rodrigo, could she pull it off?
Oh, so you went the pop singer route.
Yeah. Well, just on that one, because then I was like, I really like this girl that was in Bones and All. Her name's Taylor Russell. I think she would kind of be cute and like manic pixie dream girl-esque, but also crazy. And then like, I don't love my answers, but I really liked yours. No, yours were really good.
Thank you. I tried.
And you went with representation, so good for you. You're a better person than I'll ever be.
It's a Chinese movie. I wanted to stick with it, see if I could.
No, I love it. Some fun facts. Did you do any research or learn anything?
The only, I said Faye was the one who sang the Cranberry song. Brigitte, the woman in the blonde wig, came out of acting retirement to do this role, because she wanted to work with Wong Kar Wai. Wong, Mr. Wong, Wong Kar Wai. She's like, I want to work with him. Yes, I will be this part. Like because I guess she like you said, she's like older than the rest of the cast. She came out of acting retirement to play this part. But the only like funny one I read was that the filmmakers were sued by people who were living in the apartment building after the flood scene because they had water damage to their apartment. So they sued the filmmakers.
I like that little bit of research there, because that's most of mine. This movie was filmed in sequence, which is interesting because it's not a very sequential movie at all. But yeah, everything, and it was filmed in 23 days.
Wow.
Which is crazy. And he actually did this. He wrote this and did it all within 7 or 9 weeks. It's crazy, whatever it is. He was working on another film that takes a lot more like effort and time, but he had a break because they like reached a point and they couldn't move past it. So he was like, I've got to make a movie. So I'm just going to do this. And he wrote this up and started filming in no time. So it's pretty crazy to do that in that short amount of time. There was actually an ending where Faye and 663 meet at the airport to go to another country. But the writer couldn't decide on where he wanted them to go, so he just went with the ambiguous ending and said,
I love it.
Yeah.
Nope. Try something different.
I already talked about that there's a third segment written for this, but that ended up being in a completely different movie, and it does kind of line up more with the first story than the second story. And I believe let's see if I have anything else here. No, I think that's all of the gems of knowledge that I have. So we kind of nailed it there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like my big question either.
Okay.
I don't even want to give it to you, because it's like, not even that I don't want to give it to you. I just feel like it's too like profound. It's asking too much. I'm like, what aspect of resonated with you the most and why?
What do you mean? What aspect?
You see, exactly. Like, what part of Chungking Express resonated with you the most and why?
I think it's the ending of the second story. Yeah. Like, I love an up for interpretation ending. I thought it was just so like, I don't know. Like I said, it kind of took my breath away. Like that was just such a simple line to say, like where do you want to go? Wherever you want to take me. I'm like, oh, like I've been thinking about that for 3 days now, since we watched it. Like I pick out a lot. Like I think like I have like I like lyrics. I like I'm more of a music person. I'm a movie person, and there's a lot of I like lyrics that are that say something so profound in a very simplistic way, and I think that's why that line stuck out to me so much, is because I was like, oh yeah, that hit.
Yeah, I did have another thing, but I don't know, like, because I feel like you really like this movie. So let me ask you before I ask this question, what your rewatchability rating out of 5 is.
I actually gave the rewatchability out of a 5 out of 5 because, and I guess so. I mean, are you gonna ask or say? I can get into this now. Is that I did love this movie. I did not love it as much as I thought I would.
Yeah.
I think again, I had been anticipating it. It's been on my list. I've been told how wonderful it is. I had it blown up in my head. And then we watched it and I was like, I think I missed something.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I liked it. I really did. And there's like, I can pull out aspects that I like. And when we talk about things more, like that's what gets me more into them. I'm more of a processor. But afterwards, I was like, it was good.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
So my rewatchability is 5 because I feel like I missed stuff.
Yeah.
I didn't get it the first time. So I'm like, I feel like I gotta rewatch it.
What is your overall rating?
I gave it like a 4.
Okay.
And that is that honestly, I will be very honest, is heavily influenced by other people's ratings of it. Like I rate things pretty high.
That's
like,
okay.
General statement. Very rarely do I give a low rating. Like I loved the movie we watched last week. Like, and so I was like, I think it's 5 worthy, but because I just don't feel like I got it, I had to give it a 4 with subject to change in the future.
All right. This is kind of where I was leaning for. And Chat, aka Spencer, I also want to lean on you a little bit with this too. Do you think that it could, because I feel like after watching this movie, it feels very, and I already referenced it, it feels very Gen X to me. And it reads very much like I don't know. There's a lot of movies during this time, and I know you haven't seen a ton of movies, and that's not a fault here. But do you think that there might be like some kind of generational thing to this that maybe we're missing something?
Maybe. I don't know. I mean, if this isn't my movie pairing, but as we're talking about it, it kind of feels like Empire Records.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
I think Faye would be placed in Empire Records with no problem. You know, like I think just like kind of stick her in there. Maybe, I don't know. I genuinely liked it. There was I think more so because the thing that I'm more stuck on is that again, it was very artistic. But I did have a hard time watching some of it, like visually with the shortcuts and the going back and forth. I was like, oh, this is like visual. This is giving me a headache. Like visually hard to watch. And sometimes when again, like I did it with Sirens 2 weeks ago, where I was like, there must be more. Like there has. I'm like, diving into it mentally, like I feel like this represents something. I think this is symbolic, and I felt like I was trying to do that with this movie too, and I just didn't. I did a little bit, but I was like maybe not as much as I thought.
Yeah, I think this movie actually falls into a Gen X category. Like, so I think of movies like Before Sunrise or Reality Bites, or even Clueless, which I have on the background here. Empire Records is a great pull and a great like reference point for this. The music. Of that, the
just around the mark is like
there's also like I referenced this in like my You Ain't All That, say something bad about the movie. It's like I love Cameron Crowe as a director and a writer. He's known for movies like Almost Famous, Jerry Maguire, Singles, or movies, but he like sometimes borders with some of his dialogue on, or not dialogue, but inner monologues. So like these monologues that you hear where it's like, we're trying to sound like the smartest person in the room and it comes off as bad poetry. I don't think this movie does that. But it like borders. It's like a thin line there.
I did say earlier, without like knowing that was how you felt about it, I was like, every line felt like poetry in this movie, like especially in the inner monologues, like just talking to themselves and being like there's a lot of like yearning happening in this movie. So I feel like that plays into it, but you're right. It does feel like poetry. I'm trying to sound like a smart person.
Yeah.
When in reality, people don't, even if you're yearning and wistful and longing for your ex, like the very rarely are your own thoughts saying stuff like that.
Yeah, and I think there is that, like, that is a quality of Gen X, and I don't get. I already said that I love the, like, we can get into a generational talk anytime anybody wants, but like Gen X is it feels like they're very romantic, and they also feel like they're very much the smartest person in the room. Whereas like maybe the next generation is like just been beaten into submission and are just kind of taking what's given to them. No, it's I don't really think, I only think about these things whenever I'm walking like through this stuff with you. So it's crazy. But I love this movie. I've seen it many times. I give it a 5 on rewatchability. I'd watch it right now if you asked me to. And I don't know, there's just a feeling, like a vibe feeling that I get after watching this movie where I'm just very happy to have watched that. And it's not a long watch at all. So
Yeah.
all right, if you could pair this movie, like a fine wine and dish, if you could pair this movie with another movie for a double feature, what would you choose?
So I picked two. One was me cheating. I picked Fallen Angels. Is the other movie by the director that kind of goes with this movie, as we said. But the other one I picked, and I always mispronounce it, is
Amelie?
yes, you knew, Amelie. And it was, again, like, Amelie has more characters, obviously, but they're also kind of loosely tied to one another. Like, she's got her dad and the guy and her, their or the people at the cafe that are like coworkers or whatever, and their lives are loosely tied together. But there's instead of internal monologue, there's a narrator, and the narrator provides everybody's internal monologue. Also very artistic. It was like a similar vibe. Also a foreign film.
Yeah. Nice. I had that on my long list. Amelie was on my long list. So
Okay.
good pull. We've talked a lot about Fallen Angels. Obviously, if you want to watch some more Wong Kar-wai, if you want to watch a perfect film by him, In the Mood for Love is a good place to start, and has a story, like one story. That's all you have to focus on.
One story.
Beautiful. Everything Everywhere all at Once has Wong Kar-wai stuff in it. You can see it, like, if you watch this movie and then watch Everything Everywhere all at Once, you'll be like, that's where they're drawing this from. The two movies that I wanted to talk about the most are Lost in Translation, Sofia Coppola, of these two people finding each other in Japan, like unlikely people coming together and having a relationship, and maybe not necessarily romantic, because you don't see any like romantic stuff in this one either. That's another thing. Like, the only kind of sex you see is between him and his ex, and you still don't even see that like much of that.
With the second story.
But that is like Lost in Translation. I get a little bit of that feeling too. Another foreign film I would say is, I think it's Dutch or Danish, Worst Person in the World. I've screamed the praises of that movie the last 2 years. I think it is a beautiful movie and kind of falls under the same genre, just like, and there's like this kind of with Amelie, like this magical part of the movie, like there's this magical realism. So Worst Person in the World kind of falls into that a little bit. There's one scene where she's running to go see a guy, and he is she's running to go see a guy, and the world's paused around her. So yeah, that is one of the things that I would say of mine. So sorry. Anyway, I think that's it for everything. Unless, is there something that you've recently watched that you want to tell people about?
I recently watched Company, the 2011 stage recording with the New York Philharmonic. It was great. I loved it very, very, very much. And it's a musical, so if anyone wants to watch a free musical on YouTube, it's Neil Patrick.
It is definitely there.
But I haven't really watched too much lately. I feel like, other than our 52 movies, haven't really ventured out. I'm still playing Animal Crossing, so That's where my main focus is.
Nice. I think I've seen the only other movies I've seen recently. I've been doing Disney movies from the very beginning, which is a kind of a slog in itself. But Snow White is very good. People need to give that movie some more love. I'm sure it has plenty. But I saw Zone of Interest, which is an Oscar-nominated film about these people, this family that lives next to the Auschwitz concentration camp. What a vibe in the movie that I don't know if I'll ever watch again, but definitely a one-time watch, and it's pretty amazing. But yeah, it's a hard watch, definitely. So that's my only one. But Alyssa, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
You're a wonderful person. Thank you so much for watching movies with me and letting me annoy you with everything, and maybe we enjoy them together. But thank you. I always appreciate it.
Anytime.
And for everybody else that's joining us, next week, we're going to be talking about Reality Bites. It is not streaming for free anywhere right now, unless you have your own ways of getting there. But it is currently streaming on video on demand, so you can buy it, purchase that from any of the places that you like to purchase movies from. We'll be doing that stream next Sunday at 5 p.m. on our regular time. Also, don't forget about the special episode that we have at the end of the month, where we're going to talk about rich kid movies. That includes Richie Rich, Blank Check, and Baby's Day Out. So you can always watch those anytime. And Kiss already. Can't. Not in the same place. Sorry. But we love you, each and every one of you. And we'll see you next time on 52/1994.